My name is Dan Armicardi. I'm the fish biologist assigned to the Magone Project area. Magone Lake is centrally located jewel within the project area, one of the Blue Mountain District's primary recreation areas for fishing. It is also one of less than half a dozen natural lakes within the district. Therefore, it is fitting that as a background for the first slide of the Aquatics existing condition presentation for the Magone Project area. The underlying theme for the existing condition within the Magone Project area is water, as evidenced by picture 1 and 2, where the East Fork of Beech Creek, the major stream within the project area, becomes dry in mid-August, and where a steelhead red was found on May 8th in picture 1. Clear Creek is the first tributary encountered while moving upstream from the confluence of Beech Creek. Picture 1 was taken on May 8, 2014 during a mid-Columbia steelhead spying survey. Pictures 2 and 3 are the same area on August 18, 2014, where the stream channel is entirely dry. The stream channel within this area had been bermed with boulders and log weirs installed in the 1980s. The floodplain is not connected in this area all the way to its confluence with the East Fork of Beech Creek. This slide depicts the Category 1 stream flow within the Magone Project area in mid-August and whether they contain flowing water. Nipple Creek, Lake Creek, McClellan Creek, indicated by the blue arrows, have the most miles of perennial flow during August and are also located within the inventoried roadless area and have not been logged in their headwaters. This is not to say that other streams do not have the potential to be perennial, but rather some portion of them is in a degraded state and not effectively storing water. For example, water is coming off the surface too fast and not being stored. Chart 2 displays the percentage of streams that was found to actually be perennial, indicated by the red bars, and the percentage that was dry, indicated by the blue bars, as a whole of the total perennial miles originally identified. Map 1 displays the sections of stream that were observed to be dry as of August 20th, 2014. Map 2 displays the perennial streams identified on the NHD layer within the project area, indicated in dark blue. Almost half the identified perennial streams within the project area become dry by the end of August. Fish species present within the project area include long-nosed dace, Mid-Columbia River steelhead, which are listed as threatened, West Slope cutthroat trout, which are regionally sensitive, mottled sculpin, and red-side shiners. Figure 1 displays the miles of Mid-Columbia River steelhead critical habitat, indicated by green, with perennial water indicated by dark blue. Picture 2 displays the dry sections of stream by mid-August. Perennial flow within steelhead critical habitat dramatically decreases by mid-August within McClellan Creek, and then McClellan Creek becomes the primary perennial stream in the project area, in part explaining a portion of why it has the highest occurrence of steelhead reds and thus likely juvenile survival of all streams within the project area. Figure 1 displays the distribution of West Slope cutthroat trout in the Magone Project area, indicated by the brown. Approximately 7 miles of West Slope cutthroat habitat is in the project area. These include the streams of East Fork Beech Creek, Lake Creek, and Thompson Creek. The majority of the West Slope cutthroat trout habitat within the project area becomes dry, as displayed in Figure 2 by mid-August, with the exception of Lake Creek. Primary past management activities that have contributed to the existing condition or loss of water storage within the project area include Photo 1, which includes road construction and failures. Photo 2, the berming of the tributary alluvial fans entering East Fork Beech Creek. Figure 3, ungulate use within riparian areas resulting in degraded shrub communities. Photo 4, placement of culverts that are undersized and elevated that tend to focus flow energy and cause fish passage barriers. And Photo 5, which includes timber harvest, removal of existing and future large wood within the floodplain, reducing in-stream and floodplain complexity, and reducing depositional features within the project area. Because of the time constraints, individual sections of stream will not be discussed, but lumped by their corresponding valley features based on source zones, transfer zones, and accumulation zone characteristics. It should be noted that in a degraded state, depositional zones can become transfer zones, and even within transfer zones, depositional areas can occur due to features such as landslides, geological pinch points, and woody debris events such as wind throw and fire, adding large amounts of wood to the stream. The Clear Creek drainage is indicated by the red circle within the map in the right-hand corner. Clear Creek is the lowest tributary to the East Fork Beech Creek and has a drainage area of 6.8 square miles. The uppermost portions of the drainage are outside of the inventoried roadless area. From its confluence with East Fork Beech Creek to the uppermost headwaters, it rises in elevation 2,530 feet, with 85% of the drainage area being forested. Mean basin precipitation is 19.4 inches. Clear Creek source zone is indicated by the red circle in the upper right hand corner and includes Clear Creek reaches 7 and 8. Degraded source zones with steep bank relief, limited vegetation, and road failures within these areas are depicted in the photos labeled 1. Wood and boulders are the primary features that create grade control and depositional features which help with water storage. Photos labeled with 2 depict wood and rock capturing sediment and reducing energy within the source zone of Clear Creek. The Clear Creek transfer zone is indicated by the red circle in the upper right hand corner and includes Clear Creek reaches 4 and 5. General characteristics for the transfer zone within Clear Creek include a more gradual gradient than the source zone, not as steep, and intermediate depositional areas caused by wood depicted in photos labeled with a number 2. Increased sinuosity is depicted in photos labeled with number 1. The Clear Creek accumulation / depositional zone is indicated by the red circle in the upper right hand corner and includes Clear Creek reaches 1 and 2. Pinch points formed from valley features result in broad depositional floodplains depicted in photos 1, 2, and 3, and 4, resulting in an increased sinuosity when functioning properly and also function as water storage areas when connected to their floodplain. These sections within Clear Creek had elevated drive floodplain terraces with an inset floodplain and incised channel, and were not storing water remotely close to their potential. Floodplain roughness was limited and shrub communities consisted primarily of hawthorn, with some evidence of fire within the riparian area depicted in photo 5. These areas have a high potential for mid-Columbia River steelhead spawning and juvenile rearing when not in a degraded state. Unique characteristics of Clear Creek include valley pinch points that form depositional areas above. These are clearly visible in the LiDAR to the right by the red arrows in photo 1. Below these pinch points, the slope often increases, resulting in a transfer zone depicted in photo 2. Thompson Creek drainage is indicated by the red circle within the map on the right hand corner. Thompson Creek is the second lowest tributary to East Fork Beech Creek and has a drainage area of 2.58 square miles. The uppermost portion of the drainage is inside the inventoried roadless area. From its confluence with the East Fork Beech Creek, the uppermost headwaters rises in elevation 1,530 feet, which is 1,000 feet less than Clear Creek. It has 64% of the drainage area being forested. Mean basin precipitation is 19 inches, the lowest of all tributaries to the East Fork Beech Creek. No steelhead critical habitat is within this drainage. The transfer zone within Thompson Creek is indicated by the red circle on the map. General characteristics of the transfer zone within Thompson Creek include a steep gradient greater than 4%, dominated by large substrate, depicted in photos 1, 2, and 3. Aspen stands were also observed within this area, depicted in photo 4. Thompson Creek source and depositional zones are indicated by the red. Thompson Creek was characterized by intermediate flat areas where springs entered from side slopes depicted in photos 3, 4, and 5. Above these areas, the stream slope increased and was dominated by ponderosa pine, in which several head cuts greater than 4 feet had moved up the stream channel depicted in photos 1 and 2. The uppermost extent of the perennial waters within Thompson Creek is characterized by an incised stream channel with several head cuts moving through, depicted in photos 1 and 2. An inset floodplain measuring approximately 2 to 3 feet wide was inset within a much wider floodplain terrace that was dry. The incised sections of Thompson Creek are displayed with LiDAR on the right, where the deep gully and elevated floodplain terraces are easily visible and evident. Another unique characteristic for the Thompson Creek was the presence of side springs entering from the hillside toe slopes. Many of these have channels associated with them, indicating that the stream channel is slightly incised within these areas, and floodplain connectivity has been lost to some degree. The McClellan Creek drainage is indicated by the red circle within the map in the right-hand corner. McClellan Creek and its tributary, Nipple Creek, are the longest drainage tributary to East Fork Beech Creek and almost entirely within the inventoried roadless area. McClellan Creek and Nipple Creek have a drainage area of 9 square miles and 1.46 square miles. From its confluence with East Fork Beech Creek to the uppermost headwaters, it rises in elevation from 2,380 feet, with 85 to 92% of the drainage area being forested. Mean basin precip is 20.3 inches. The source zone for Nipple and McClellan Creeks are depicted by the red circle in the right-hand corner, include reaches 1 and 5. General characteristics for these areas include a narrow, heavily forested valley bottom with a steep slope. Side hill springs were prevalent within Nipple Creek, depicted in photos 1, and wood is a primary grade control, depicted in photos 2 and 4. The Nipple Creek source zone is very similar to McClellan Creek, with hill slope springs depicted in photos 1 and 4, and steep side slopes with a narrow valley bottom depicted in photos 2 and 4. Woody debris is the primary grade control and floodplain roughness element within this zone, as depicted in photo 3. The McClellan Creek transfer zone is depicted by the red circle on the map in the right-hand corner. The transfer zone within this area is characterized by intermittent depositional zones caused by large wood within pictures 1, 4, and 5. Show small depositional areas upstream of downwood, which is functioning to store water, reduce grade, sort gravels, and often create scour pools downstream, increasing potential spawning habitat for mid-Columbia River steelhead and rearing habitat for juvenile steelhead. The depositional meadow area in picture 2 was created by an individual tree in picture 3 falling down within a narrow pinch point in the valley, thus creating a several hundred-foot area of deposition and water storage within a transfer zone. Depositional layers within McClellan Creek identified as spawning areas for mid-Columbia River steelhead, and the gravel stored within the elevated floodplain terraces are depicted in photos 1, 2, and 3. These depositional areas were formed from landslides and valley narrowing. Large trees, which include Douglas fir and ponderosa pine, line the valley and toe slopes, but were noticeably absent from the floodplain, and shrubs were also limited within these areas. In addition to the absence of wood in the channel and a limited shrub community, the stream channel is also very straight, reducing its capacity to store water, create pools, and sort gravel. The depositional zone within McClellan Creek are depicted by the red circle on the map in the right-hand corner and include reaches 2 and 3. General characteristics of these areas include straightened channels depicted in photo 1, elevated dry floodplain terraces depicted in photo 2 and 3, and shrub communities primarily consisting of hawthorn depicted in photo 4. One of the unique characteristics of McClellan Creek is a landslide that created a pinch point in the valley bottom and is depicted by lidar on the right. This led to a deposition of gravels and change in channel type depicted in picture 2. Dry floodplain terraces dominated by hawthorn were evident within this area, depicted in photo 1. The stream channel was very straight, as evidenced by photo 3. These areas are valuable for water storage and spawning for steelhead, but currently are not functioning to their potential in the project area. The red circle on the map to the right indicates the Tinker Creek drainage. Tinker Creek is entirely outside the inventoried wilderness area. It has a basin relief of 1,700 feet and 96% of it is forested. There are 2 miles of steelhead critical habitat within the drainage, in which a large portion was observed to go dry during August of 2014. Tinker Creek reaches 3 and 4 source zones are indicated by the red circle on the map to the right. This area is characterized by a grand fir overstory and intermittent alder and sedge communities depicted in photos 1, 2, and 4. The primary water source for Tinker Creek occurs within this area, depicted in photo 3. The transfer and intermediate depositional zones within Tinker Creek are indicated by the red circle on the map. Tinker Creek's transfer zone, Reach 1, has only isolated pools of water during August. These pools were often associated with pieces of wood depicted in photos 2 and 3. The riparian shrub community consisted of alder and willow were also limited in abundance, and sedge communities were only present near spring seeps and depositional areas caused by woody debris. Picture 1 demonstrates the degraded condition of this area within Tinker Creek in general. Reach 2 of Tinker Creek has the potential for water storage and gradual release, and consisted of an open meadow sedge community and a shrub community. Lodgepole encroachment within the meadow depicted in photos 1, 2, and 3. Old beaver sign was observed, but no active beaver were found within this area. The shrub community consisted of primarily alder with scattered willows in open areas, not being shaded from lodgepole. Lodgepole have encroached within this portion of this reach because of the channel incision and head cuts that lowered the water table and disconnected portions of the floodplain. Road crossings within this area have also altered the hydrology and lowered the water table within the area. Lake Creek transfer and source zones are depicted by the red circle on the map to the right. Perennial flow began below the Magone Lake slide from a large spring depicted in photo 1. Large wood was abundant as shown in photo 2, and abundant large ponderosa pine and Douglas fir were present on the toe slope shown in photo 3. The immediate stream bank consisted of a healthy sedge component with occasional dogwood communities. The valley was confined and narrow, which are typical characteristics of a transport zone. Lake Creek had perennial flow all through August. One of the unique characteristics of Lake Creek is the Magone landslide area. Large spring seeps from the Magone Lake slide were prevalent within Lake Creek as shown in photos 1 and 2. Fish distribution extended from its confluence with the East Fork Beech Creek all the way up to the slide. No fish were found above Magone Lake on Lake Creek. The red circle on the map indicates the location of Grub Creek. Majority of Grub Creek lies outside the project boundary. It is 92% forested with a mean basin elevation of 5,090 feet and a mean basin precipitation value of 23.5 inches. There is 1 mile of steelhead critical habitat within the project area. The red circle on the map indicates the depositional areas for Grub Creek. Photo 1 is looking downstream towards private land. Photo 2 depicts a sedge community where the channel has a high sinuosity. Photo 3 depicts the transition to a shrub community comprised of alder and willow. The red circle on the map indicates the entire drainage area of the East Fork of Beech Creek. East Fork Beech Creek consists of all the previous drainage tributaries discussed and has a mean basin elevation of 4,800 feet which is lower in elevation than most of the tributaries. 80% of the drainage is forested and contains 8 miles of steelhead critical habitat, with more than half becoming dry by mid-August. East Fork Beech Creek Reach 7 is shown by the red circle in the project area map to the right. It consisted of smaller substrate and a vigorous riparian shrub community, depicted in photos 2, 3, and 4. Lack of in-channel wood has resulted in a simplified channel that is over-widened and has low sinuosity, but there is a high potential for water storage if in-stream wood is restored. One active beaver dam was found within this reach, and beaver were using log weirs to key their dam into to substitute for the lack of wood. East Fork Beech Creek reaches 2, 3, and 4 are shown by the red circle on the project area map on the right-hand corner. Currently, these are plain bed transport zones with intermixed depositional reaches, where beaver have returned. The lack of large wood and beaver is contributing to the majority of the East Fork Beech Creek being a transport zone. Absence of smaller coarse gravels from tributary alluvial fans and within East Fork Beech Creek limits spawning gravel sinuosity and stream bank / pool formation. When hydrological processes are in balance with the landscape setting, certain vegetative communities are associated with these conditions. Combined, vegetation and hydrology within a landscape setting form the basis and building blocks for fish habitat. When either one of these is degraded, there are consequences, and these can be manifested in poor fish habitat. And finally, I would like to end with some examples of quality fish habitat observed while surveying the Magone Project area. Photos 1, 2, 3, and 4 are within McClellan Creek and depict functioning wood creating deposition, pools, and even meadows, as demonstrated in Figure 4. Again, some more pictures of wood functioning to create in-stream channel complexity and floodplain roughness, even on a steep channel grade within Nipple Creek and McClellan Creek. It should be noted that the majority of these pictures were taken within the inventoried roadless area in the project area.